because this computer is just not cutting it.
I think I want to reformat the whole thing because it's just running like shit.
Gotcha.
And when I put OBS on it, OBS kept freezing. So that's when last time I got frustrated. I was like, fuck you. Brought this thing out and then it's been fine. This one, I don't know.
You're going to like tear it all apart and like put new parts in it?
I don't want to. I don't want to rebuild it. So I want to just maybe start fresh, wipe it clean, and see if that can. Like, I have no interest in rebuilding that. I don't even know that I want to do another cool, like liquid cooled like that.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Especially because like the thermals are not markedly better with liquid cooling in comparison to like a beefy AIO.
For sure. Like like that's my temps are great on that thing, but
yeah, I'm sure they are.
But
I'm sure the temps are great on that thing too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. I don't think it's markedly better enough to be like, cool. What the fuck colors is it doing today? The RAM on that thing, like it just like wakes up every morning and it's just like, today it's rainbow. Other day, like the mind of its own. Complete mind of its own.
What was like the old Dreamcast advertisement? It's learning.
It's evolving, you remember that as we speak.
It's like, learning. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. This thing can play Seaman, and that's pretty much all it's good for. Remember that game?
No.
You don't remember Seaman?
No.
Oh my God, Nick. Seaman was a fucking thing.
Really?
I'll tell you. Yeah, man. So you remember like the controller setup with the Dreamcast, right?
Yeah, that little spaceship thing.
Yeah, I guess you could call it a spaceship.
Yeah.
Spaceship-like, I guess. I never thought about it that way, but really like a pretty not great controller, in my opinion. The cord came from the bottom. That makes no sense. So the cord came from the bottom, so that sucked. And that was because of like the FMB, like the little memory card that.
What was the point of the screen on the thing?
Well, you like certain games utilized it, and you could pull the actual memory card out, the FMB memory card, and it had like a D-pad and buttons on it, and you could play games on the memory card, which was cool.
Sure.
I mean, it was kind of stupid, but that was the reason why the cable was not at the top of the controller. But anyways, Seaman, you would take pull the well, there's two ports on the top of the FMB ports. You plugged in this dongle that was like a microphone. It was a straight up microphone that went on the top. And the whole point of the game was you raised a fish that started out as like a tadpole and then would grow into like a larger fish. But the kicker is the fish had the face of a Japanese man. And
this game was in the US?
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, it was.
Okay.
And you raised a seaman. That's what they were called. And you would talk to it in the microphone and make it like do different things. And it was kind of like Tamagotchi, if you're familiar with that from the 90s, where you had to like keep track of your semen and make sure that your semen was fucking doing the right thing. But like I cannot stress how incredible the semen in the game actually looked. I'm going to show you a little picture here. They were absolutely incredible.
Is this a game you played a lot of?
No, I didn't play a lot of it. No, but it was just more of a joke than anything else. But people really like semen. Like that's what they looked like. People, it was like a carp with like a little like fucking anglerfish thing on the top of its head and like the body of a carp and then a Japanese man's face.
Okay.
It was fucking terrifying and also hilarious. But yeah, like you bought it as like an all-in-one like setup. This was like the whole thing. And like the little microphone was like the little green thing that you'd put into your controller and things like that. I can't believe you've never heard of semen.
No.
All right, well.
No, I didn't have a Dreamcast, so I would have been very interested in buying that game.
Yeah.
17 or 18-year-old when that thing came out.
There's like a lot of like really niche games that from a localization perspective, I don't understand how they ever made it to Western shores.
Like, just why? Like, what?
Yeah. Like Seaman's a good example. Mr. Mosquito was another one that was hilarious. Are you familiar with Mr. Mosquito?
No.
Man, I'm just educating you.
My
right now.
Dreamcast experience.
This was PS2.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Mosquito.
Man.
But Mr. Mosquito, you assume the role of Mr. Mosquito.
Got it.
And you were in a Japanese family's home, and the entire point of the game was to suck the blood of the Japanese family in different ways. And it was absolutely fucking hilarious.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like a lot of weird ones. Like, I'm here for it, you know?
Yeah.
For a long period of time, that was like my dream job, to be like a localizer. Not necessarily from like the perspective of translating games, which I know is a big part of that job.
Yeah.
But was more like being the guy that went to Japan and like played all of the weird games and then came to like someone and was like, this game is going to do well in the West. We should, port it. Let's do it.
Nintendo should bring back that Rob the Robot. That was a good idea. I think should come back.
Gyromite?
Yeah. Gyromite.
Yeah, there was another game too. It's escaping me. What was the name of the other one? Really? I thought it was pretty dumb, honestly.
It's hilarious.
Like, you know the backstory of that robot?
Fuck no.
They just didn't have.
Someone saw Short Circuit and was like, you know what we should do?
Yeah, they just like, as far as I understand, they were worried about it because this was like right after the big video game crash in the West. And they were worried about like the marketability because there was like a lot of like shovelware consoles and games that were put out prior to Nintendo Entertainment System coming out in the West.
So they wanted
a hook.
This was the beginning of the hook. They always have a hook.
Yeah.
They still have a hook.
Whereas like the Famicom didn't have that issue. I'm pretty sure Rob, they did get Rob functionality on the Famicom at some point, but it was much later down the line. And it was like purely intended to appeal to Western sensibilities. And like, wasn't there 2 or 3 games that utilized or Rob the Robot?
I only remember Gyromite. It's what I had. We had the whole thing. And it was just the most, we should play Gyromite. And then, because have you ever played it?
I don't think so, no.
You need to play it and then look at how the levels are designed and realize what you were supposed to be doing with these tops that were spinning to get through the levels is batshit fucking crazy. It's like so unrealistic because the levels got like pretty difficult. And you're like, this robot was never going to cut it. He's not Johnny Five. He's not going to get it done. Like, this is just like, I would cheat. So you'd have the one controller to move through and then you'd use your fingers on the other controller. And even then I couldn't beat the fucking game.
Yeah. Just like not utilized tech that was just like a gimmick. I will say that Nintendo has gotten better at hooks. Like, they're probably the best at hooks, right? That are actually like become phenomenons. Like, you can say what you will about like the actual functionality of those hooks, but like
they go every other and they're about to be on their off year.
That's true. I just don't think that they will fail with this follow-up. I
mean, this is a layup. Make the same thing, make it better, make it play the previous Switch,
Yeah.
Switch games need to play on it. And
for sure.
If they don't drop the ball on that, and essentially
Switch games need to play on it and they need to be
better,
upscaled and perform better. Yeah.
And if they can manage that, they're going to have some other hook. But like, I mean, even this one had like HD rumble that was just like, this is some fancy ass fucking rumble. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like if you can believe patents that come out that, like
2-screen thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
One screen that can be like detached. So they're kind of going with the Wii U to a certain extent, but the Wii U is like, you had the gamepad and then you had the console that projected on your TV and you used them at the same time. Like kind of a different thing with this.
You could play just on the gamepad, but I think you had to be within reach of the console.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I never owned a Wii U.
I got one.
Yeah.
Feels cheap.
Yeah.
Just feels like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like you hold it and you're like, this thing sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I played Wii U. My
but-
parents had one randomly. But yeah, you can collect for that. That's a popular console to collect for because they didn't put out very many games for it in comparison to like other consoles, and you can just like go and buy all of the games for pretty cheap. And I'm sure that they'll probably become extraordinarily expensive at some point. I think there is like a handful already that are like extraordinarily expensive.
Yeah, they released Bayonetta 1 and 2 in a bundle, and I have it. And that one was, it's like I don't think you can find it anymore.
They did this. They re-released Bayonetta on the Switch in the same bundle.
Yeah.
Well, it was Bayonetta 2, and then you could, if you bought the physical copy, you got a download code for.
Might have been
Bayonetta
the same
1.
for what I got.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I never really got into the Wii U. I'm trying to think of my favorite. Like, I mean, that's the obvious answer. Is the PlayStation 2 is my favorite console of all time. I feel like I just like that.
Never owned one. Are there a lot of good games on that console?
There's a few.
Okay.
There's a few good ones. You didn't own a PlayStation 2?
No.
What the fuck is wrong? What do you mean?
Because I mean, I had all the Nintendos. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I had a 64. Then the PlayStation 2 came out right before I went to college. And I had also just gotten a computer. So right around that same time, I was Diablo and Warcraft and just dipping my toe into the PC realm. And then I definitely sat in some friends' rooms and passed the controller around like for GTA 3 because I was playing 2 on PC.
Yeah.
And
the dark days of GTA.
I remember being furious because like I would get my turn and I would go vigilante and it'd be around 3 minutes long. And then one of our buddies was just like obeying the traffic laws and shit. And you're just like, you got a 30-minute turn. This is bullshit. But then I went to college and then I ended up getting an Xbox and then I had a PC. So just never touched it. I mean, I didn't have a PS3 either.
Well, you could skip the PS3.
Yeah, sorry. I have one now. I have a rare one.
Yeah, I have the same one. That's a cool piece of tech. The original launch edition PlayStation 3 for the time was a very cool piece of tech. Backwards compatibility and the first like reasonably priced Blu-ray player as well. That was like a big thing at the time. But yeah, like if you look at the catalog of games on the PlayStation 3, there's certainly some fucking bangers, but if you compare it to PlayStation 2, it's not the same level.
Right around the time I met you, I went and purchased PlayStation 2, a thin model.
Yeah.
And I was playing old games.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that game before Shadow of the Colossus.
Eco.
So I played Eco, I played Final Fantasy X. And was kind of working my way through just games I'd missed. I played the first 2 God of Wars and realized I didn't really care for those games. So I played 4. That's fine. That's most of the good ones.
Yeah, that's the thing is like much the same way that the PlayStation 4 just had so many great third-party titles released for it. The same thing was true about the PlayStation 2. That was kind of like the golden age, and really where Sony, I feel like, kind of cemented themselves as this like heavy big player. I mean, obviously, I know the PlayStation 1 was wildly successful as well, but if you just look at the numbers, like the numbers, speak volumes. I mean, as the highest selling console of all time in certain parts of the world, the PlayStation 2 was in rotation for a long period of time, like crazy amounts of time. I can't remember the specific time in Brazil. Brazil's got really weird ways.
Stopped making that fucking
really weird laws, and it's like prohibitively expensive to like buy games in Brazil because of weird laws that they have. But yeah, like they were like using PlayStation 2s like mid 2000s, I believe, which is crazy. And so, yeah, like it's just the cultural significance of that console. I fucking think it's gotta be, and I was also like the perfect age. I was like almost a teenager, you know, in my prime gaming years. I remember I bought, I was like saving up for a PlayStation 2, and I bought games that I knew I was going to play on the PlayStation 2, but didn't have a PlayStation 2.
Oh, no.
And I would just sit and look at them, and I'd be like, oh, it's going to be so fucking good. I can't wait.
Jesus.
I can't fucking wait until I get to play you. And then I got a PlayStation 2, and it was just like so fucking
Wow.
so incredible. And you know, really great console. I only had one. I never got like a Slim or anything like that.
Yeah.
I will say that original, I still have it, my original PlayStation 2. It was a little rough around the edges. Like you had to do a lot of kind of finagling with it.
It's got to be on a 45-degree angle.
The lens in particular in the PlayStation 2 has got issues. So like your discs, and also the discs were really susceptible, especially the early discs that were purple on the bottom. They scratched really easily. So if you had like any little amounts of scratches on the disc, like the PlayStation 2 had a really hard time reading the discs.
I feel like we've made a lot of progress on discs and how they scratch, because they
don't scratch at all anymore.
I have a lot that I don't feel like I particularly take good care of at times.
Yeah.
And I just like, looks fine.
Yeah.
Looks
like PlayStation 5 discs and PlayStation 4 for that matter. Like I try to take care of them pretty well, but like shit happens, and like, yeah, it's not the same.
Well, I was moving stuff around, and like randomly Final Fantasy 16 was just face down on the desk for God knows how long. And I was just like, this looks fine. I don't know.
Yeah. Wild time, you know? And then I dipped my toes in all of it though. I was like just so hopelessly into video games that like I would just like save up money over like the summer and then buy the next console. So like, I think my trajectory was PlayStation 2, and I had a PlayStation 2 for a long time, and that was like my primary console. And then I think I got a Xbox after that, and was just like, that was like next level. I thought that the original Xbox, I think, is a fantastic console, and they had some great fucking games. Like Microsoft really obviously invested like billions of dollars into making sure that was going to be a success.
It was a ccrazy short console life.
It was. And then I got a GameCube after that, and GameCube, you know, it's not, if you hold it up to those other two consoles I just highlighted, it's not on the same level.
But you can hold it up.
That's true. It's got a handle.
There's literally a fucking handle. So
yeah,
it's real convenient.
You could use it for
home.
home.
Look, I'm showing you this thing.
You could use it for home defense. I don't know you. And just bash them over the head with it with your little handle. You really put some fucking torque on it.
What happened is, once I went to college, like I didn't play as many games. I was playing a lot, but I was playing
right
Half-Life for 6 months of my life.
Right.
And then Halo for 2.5 years.
Right.
You know, it was just like, it was very small quantity, because it was obviously the setting was just multiplayer.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, definitely an interesting time between those three. I will say the GameCube had some great games, though. Definitely, if you compare it to the other two consoles, maybe not as prolific of a library, but there's some fucking bangers in that library as well.
Metroid Prime came out on the GameCube.
Metroid Prime is a prime example of a fantastic game that came out on that. You know, Melee.
Where do you fall on Mario Sunshine?
I don't hate it as much as everybody else hates it.
Okay.
I will actually say that, and I know this is a very unpopular opinion, I'm certainly not saying that it's better than, or Sunshine is better than this, but I'm not a big fan of Galaxy. I never really, what it was, honestly, is I worked at Walmart during holiday season when Mario Sunshine came out, and I was in Lawn and Garden, which is a weird place to place a kiosk for Mario Sunshine.
Out there with the flowers?
But it was like the indoor portion of it. But there was a kiosk in Lawn and Garden for Mario Sunshine that you could play a demo of the game. And
You played the shit out of that demo?
No, I didn't play it at all, really. Like maybe every once in a while I'd play it, but it was like the save screen that would just like play on loop, and it was like the fucking theme music, and it is burned into my memory.
Yeah.
And so I always really disliked it because of that. And then like I don't know, like fucking Wiimote controls. It was just like at the time, like that is obviously they were wildly successful with it, and like it blew up like the motion controls, but like it was never a good time playing games on the nunchuck and the Wiimote. I'm sorry, it just was not. It was not super intuitive, especially the base before you bought the little dongle that plugged into the bottom that made it better. Do you remember that? Where it was like, you want your motion controls to be better than they are?
If you want 1-to-1, you got to pay us another $30.
Yeah.
And then they had like Wii Sports 2 or Wii or whatever.
Yeah. It just
some bullshit. I mean, my best experience of the Wii was playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1 with the Pro Controller. So, you know.
Yeah, but that sucked too because you had to plug it into the goddamn fucking Wiimote.
Yeah, it's true.
It was the stupidest shit ever. Yeah. Like, and it made no sense because there was fucking controller ports, GameCube controller ports on the top of the Wii. So, like, in theory, you could have just made it so it plugged in. You made a Pro Controller that plugged into the GameCube port. But, you know, I just feel like it never really landed with me in like a I'm dying in a tangible way like other consoles did. But yeah, like going back to Mario Sunshine Sunshine and then Galaxy, like
I tried Galaxy a few times and it never stuck.
I didn't like either of them really.
And I liked Odyssey.
Odyssey's fantastic. No, that game's great. It aside from like the 2D platforming Marios, like 3D Marios, that's my favorite one by a long shot.
I mean, the next Mario's coming full steam ahead at us. Like, within 15 months, I think we will be playing it.
Yeah, it's got to be a launch title. Makes sense. I think another one that's very smart to release, and they would be foolish not to, and it's been so long since we've got one, is a new Mario Kart. They have like drained Mario Kart 8 of all of its juice. I mean, that game came out on the goddamn Wii U, and they've just been fucking like iterating on it. And like, I haven't went back and played Mario Kart. I like Mario Kart quite a bit, but it's not something that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking go and play Mario Kart.
I'm just not into it anymore.
Yeah.
That will probably change real fucking quick.
Yeah.
Because my daughter is going to be able to do that real soon.
Yeah.
She already plays the phone one, which seems shitty, but yeah.
There's a phone one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a phone one. She was trying to play it today and she needed the login. And I was just like, I don't have your fucking login. Who made you a login? What's your username? What's your friend code?
What's your friend code?
I don't understand.
No, I mean, I think that's the logical thing to do is put out a new Mario Kart at the launch of whatever their next console is going to be. You put those two games out, they will sell like gangbusters, and it will be a massive success for Nintendo.
Like, I mean, like they release it in the spring. Mario's launch title, and Mario Kart launches in November or something like that. I could see them doing something like that.
Yeah,
I doubt they would do them side by side.
Maybe.
I would guess that they would do Mario, whatever fucking gimmick they got, and then Mario Kart or something would be 6 months later.
Yeah, it's very interesting. How do you feel about this PlayStation 5 Pro that is very clearly actually a thing?
Yeah, it's definitely a fucking thing. I don't play my PlayStation 5 a lot, so it's I don't know. If they're gonna sell me a Pro, then they need to release or announce a decent amount of games that I can say I want the Pro to play these games.
Well, yeah, like the whole hook, as far as I understand it, is they are doing a DLSS like counterpart, essentially. So obviously, I think it's called PSVRR or something like that, or PSRR, some stupid acronym. But that potentially is like the most interesting thing about it to me, where when you compare like the PlayStation 4 Pro, like it was just like a mid life cycle update, and like it was a little bit beefier, and it also really appealed to like the 4K TV boom as well that was coming out around that time. But when you compare it to this, I think that this is more interesting
I mean,
in theory, at least.
all I really need is like Naughty Dog to say, "Hey, this is coming," and one other big heavy hitter from them, and then I can say, "Okay, there's a few games that I want to play." They don't have anything announced. Like Sony has nothing announced.
Right.
What are they releasing this year?
What is anybody releasing this year?
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, am I missing it here? Like, what are the first party people releasing?
Yeah. Yeah, they're too busy
Microsoft probably
laying
has
people
more, but
off.
that's just because they own everyone.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean it's very interesting. It's an interesting thing because like I can see like an argument for me buying, like, I mean, let's be honest, I'm gonna buy it because I'm just a
Sure.
weirdo. But like the idea of playing previous PlayStation 5 games in my library at a higher frame rate is appealing. You know what I mean? Like that in itself is cool. If it's like across the board, like all of our games in our catalog are now going to run better. That's appealing aspect to it. And like not
If
it's
it scales
more
that way.
tangible, right?
Yeah.
Like then like we've got a beefier CPU and the GPU is like wadded up a bit, so it's a little bit better, like it was in the PlayStation 4
0.2
Pro.
teraflops.
Yeah. Where this is like we can like really upscale this at a lower resolution and then pump it out and have a smoother experience. I think that that's interesting. So yeah, we'll have to see. But you are like everybody's been talking about this. So like the price point, right? Like the price point issue is a big issue because like they haven't lowered the price on the PlayStation 5 base. So like they have
They
like
just can't
very
replace
rare
it.
sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's not going to just go away. Like they will still have to sell through whatever they have. So if they haven't lowered the price on the base PlayStation 5, like what is the PlayStation 5 Pro going to be? Is that going to be like a $700-800 console? At that price point, that's fucking outrageous.
I bet they'd lower the price though. I bet when they announced that, part of that whole showcase is to say, "Hey, PlayStation 5's down to $399 or whatever number they decide on, and then the new one replaces it."
Yeah, but I would hope so. But like, if you look at and I know that you have to give some credence to the fact that we went through a global pandemic and everything was fucked up, and this console generation largely has been fucked up because of it. But like historically, leading up to these like mid life cycle refreshes of consoles, you've seen a price drop before
Sure.
the new console comes out, and that hasn't happened, right? And so yeah, I think the numbers that I saw though for PlayStation 5 was like it was a crazy number, like an insane number of consoles that they have shipped and sold.
Yeah, they've sold a lot. It's I think it came in below their projections as far as the forecasts go, like as far as the stock market cares. But I if they I can't imagine they would put a console out for $700. They've already made that mistake before. And also, like, isn't that like not reading the room? Like developers across the board are laying people off. Like things seem like they're not going well in the industry. So then to show up with a mid console or a mid life cycle refresh that blows the price out of the water, I think you're out to lunch.
Yeah.
And you at some point you have to announce some games.
Yeah, 50 million have sold
It's a
so
lot.
far. That's a lot of
it's a
PlayStation.
huge install base.
Yeah.
But more importantly, when are they going to announce some game? Like
Probably
it's pretty
next year.
crazy.
I mean, like, look, I think that this year has been a bit of a wash, and obviously we're seeing a lot of pain in the industry in terms of like it being tenable with the price that it takes to produce these AAA games. And the return on the investment that these publishers are getting on these big budget games is kind of out of control, right? Like it seems like it's fucking not
Like
reasonable. Yeah, I mean, everybody has been highlighting the newest Spider-Man being like outrageously expensive. And like, how long does that take you to like recoup or like make a profit on it? And so like we're in this like weird transition point in gaming where it seems like we're coming to like a different, like a reckoning for sure, and we're already seeing that. And also like I think the gaming industry is going to be drastically different 5 years from now.
it sure seems like it, and it seems like it's gonna maybe get a little difficult here in the next couple of years. But
Yeah, I don't think that it's
No.
like doom and gloom. Like I've seen some people being like, is this the next crash like we saw in like the late 70s, early 80s? No, I don't
the
think
world's different. Like
Yeah.
a crash looks very different. There absolutely could be. There isn't the money or the market for the Spider-Mans, and the Spider-Man actually does really well, but that's because of the name recognition, right? But these other games that are like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, according to Square, they're like, yeah, the sales are disappointing. They are not on track for the remake, and that's like kind of concerning, right? Like Rebirth sales are underperforming remake, and Rebirth is a far bigger, more expanded game, and presumably far more expensive game to make. And they're not hitting those numbers, so it's like it really sucks because it's like a well-made game. So that's just not how it's supposed to work. Like
$300 million
if they
to make Spider-Man 2.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And what was it? They say this is according to Kotaku,
50 million.
7.2 million units to break even. So that's not reasonable. You know what I mean?
It is
like,
for Spider-Man though, because it probably sold 30 or 20 million.
Well, let's look. I'm sure that they would.
But again, Spider-Man's not a very good example because it's fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair, but I think that it is at least a good example of like these ballooning budgets, right? Like it's just insane how much it costs to make like
That's a crazy
triple A game, right?
It's in what do you say? 300 million?
370 million.
No big deal.
That's pocket change. It says here 10 million. It surpassed 10 million. So, I mean, in theory, they broke even and probably turned a profit. But like, that's an insane amount of games to sell to make money on it. And right, like, I just feel like, I mean, look, it's an interesting conversation to have because it's like video games are an art form, and it's difficult for me to like separate the monetization of a video game and also like the creative aspects of video games and like the things that they elicit in a person and like the way they make you feel. That's like it's crazy how a game can make you feel, and like it's a medium that can take you places that other mediums can't. And so it's like it's interesting to kind of hold that up against like this massive amount of money that these things need to make to be successful when like they're so great and art in a like a very substantial way. So it's like it's weird.
But it's the recalibration is that like there's a lot of games that don't cost anywhere near that are really good that we play.
Yeah, true.
Like I don't know how much Helldivers cost, right?
Yeah.
Because Helldivers it's just a great thing. And obviously you put it next to Spider-Man, they're drastically different things. And you can clearly see that one has the production value like through the roof compared to Helldivers. That doesn't necessarily mean that Helldivers is less fun than Spider-Man. Helldivers is a grand old time.
Mm.
So it's just is it going to change what we are getting and what types of games you're even seeing? Because are these not going to work? Like Spider-Man, as everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
Not more people know about The Last of Us these days because of the show and stuff, but like you would think it'd be less sales.
Mm-hmm.
Uncharted, same deal.
Yeah.
But potentially cost somewhere in the ballpark of that same number. maybe a little less, but still like very high, really expensive games to make. And are they ever going to be able to get the sales off that type?
Right. That's the balancing act that these publishers and console manufacturers have to figure out, right? Like, can we be profitable, make something that's going to like appeal to a wide swath of people, and also make it like relatively affordable? Like, the trajectory of technology is as such that this will probably become less and less of an issue as time progresses, because technology on average usually becomes cheaper as time progresses, right? So like, possibly,
Yes, question mark.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, it does to a certain extent, right? Like, you look at,
my graphics card is $2,000, Jared.
I know that. I understand what you're saying. We're in like a really weird time for sure, but I also think that like, you look at certain technologies that used to be like at a premium that are no longer
Sure.
like that, right? Like, I mean, 4K television is a good example of that. It's like, it used to be like this big fucking thing, and it's like, I gotta pay $4,000 for like a 60-inch 4K, and now it's like you can get them reasonably, but there's always that new thing as well. So it's like this ever growing problem. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answers. You don't have the answers.
No, I mean, the corporations, they're on it, and they're gonna,
Are they?
They're gonna work this out for us.
Right.
Listen, who better to trust the corporations?
Gross CEO that has no, like, Phil Spencer is like the shining light, because I feel like Phil like actually, like, I don't think that you necessarily need to be a gamer in air quotes to be successful at business.
He's not
like,
out of touch.
He's not out of touch.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's not Bobby fucking Kotick or, some of these other fucking goons.
Don Matrick.
Yeah, sure.
Even the Sony guy that just left, Ryan.
Nolan. Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan.
Nolan Ryan.
I mean, Jim Ryan is the guy that was like last year. He was like, who would ever want to play old games? And it's like a fucking ton of people. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Did you see the tip thing that I think it was the Take-Two CEO was like, or 2K was like, we should get into the expectation of like tipping being involved in video games. And it's like, no.
It was Mark, it was Mike Cern or something like that. It was stupid. It was real dumb, and it's only acceptable for like a Kickstarter type game, very small game.
Yeah.
Like if I can tip the guy that made Stardew Valley, sure. But like, tip the creators of Spider-Man, like what would you like? That money's not getting to the
20%.
That's not getting to the right person.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's very
stupid.
That's the bigger problem, is like emerging monetization strategies. Most of them suck.
Yeah,
that's the problem. One of the big problems, at least, is it's just like I understand you got to make money on these things, right? Like, it's a business at the end of the day, but also there's got to be a better way,
Yeah, hopefully
there's got to be, and it's just crazy. Like, and also like, CEOs saying things like people should become accustomed to not owning video games. Like, you're just renting it from us, essentially. Like, that's some dystopic shit. You know what I mean?
But that's happening. I mean, that's happening all over too. Like,
that's true.
Like, they just shut down the servers on things, and it's like, yeah, it's just gone now. It's like, that kind of feels bad, but I guess that's just how it works.
Yeah, Wii U and 3DS just got shut down.
Like, bummer. Womp womp.
I'm never going to be able to play my 3DS again.
What?
Not that I really was going to play my 3DS.
You probably have all the cards. It'll be fine.
I do have the cards. Yeah. It's true. Well, all right.
We did it.
Yeah.